Today in motorsports. After a statement saying they felt really sorry for Toyota, Porsche say they will leave WEC by the end of 2017. Dallara gets plastic surgery and a facelift. The second most unlikable Bush in the world wins a NASCAR race. The first most unlikable being completely subjective. Old, outdated F1 driver gets most hype F1 test drive. I wish I was talking about Marc Gené. All in a jam-packed episode of Unsafe Press Release, your unreliable source for racing news. This week, Formula 1 did some testing in Hungary, with the majority of the drivers being ex-Feeder Series champion and ex-Feeder Series individuals, such as George Russell, Charles Leclerc, Luca Ghiotto, Sean Gelael, Santino Ferrucci, Nicholas Latifi, Lando Norris, Gustav Malya, Nobuharu Matsushita, and Nikita Mazepin. But the main event of the whole test was the return of an old friend, the only Polish driver to win a Grand Prix, Robert Kubica, who hasn't been in a Formula 1 car since 2011, before his terrible accident which nearly amputated his right arm. Never before has a hype train been so delayed to get to the station. It's like taking a train to London Waterloo. On the first test, Stoffel, remember how dominant I was in GP2 Van Dorn, topped the timesheet with Charles Leclerc a close second, with Valtteri, literally the greatest driver ever, Bottas, in third, nearly a second down. That's because of the car and not the driver. I swear. On the second test, Charles Leclerc absolutely wipes the floor with everyone else, setting the fastest time in the Ferrari, with another surprising second fastest time coming from Stoffel Van Dorn in the McLaren, with Valtteri Bottas and George Russell in the two Mercedes third and fourth. And guess who's all the way down in 11th? And then, the second day arrived, and with it, Robert Kubica's return to the Formula 1 world was welcomed with the cheers of fans from all across the world. But not before bashing the car into the garage and making the sign of Nico Hülkenberg fall. Suck my balls, mate. But regardless, it's just too good to put into words. Who the fuck keeps leaving chopped onions on my desk? For fuck's sake. The timesheets once again had the Ferraris and the McLarens as the fastest. Yeah, I can't even believe it myself. With the addition of Kubica, it's like I'm watching the 2007 Formula 1 season all over again. Vettel was obviously the fastest of the two Ferraris. Get it? Obviously. Fuck it. While Lando Norris managed to bag the second fastest time with Kimi Raikkonen in third. Raikkonen got beaten by McLaren. Meanwhile, Kubica managed to get the sixth fastest time in the first part of the session, ahead of Pierre Gasly in the Red Bull. And now you wonder why I wanted Antonio Giovinazzi to win GP2 2016. Well, apart from the obvious fact that he's actually better than Gasly. And by the end of the session, Kubica bags the fourth fastest time and the second most laps on the day, while Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari asserted whatever dominance it still has to the faces of all the other teams. Maybe if we close our eyes and cover our ears, maybe the bad man will go away. Okay, some people who watched the previous episode completely misunderstood that I was talking about the Brickyard 400, despite the fact that I literally said I was talking about the Brickyard 400. The biggest train wreck of the racing series took a commute to the historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and yet people still wanted to correct me by saying it was Pocono and Casey Kane didn't win. Well, let me tell you this. Who's the fucking NASCAR ignoramus now, huh? It's you! Regardless, there was a race in Pocono this week. There was a crash after one of the restarts, and written in the rulebook it states that if there's a crash in this year's NASCAR season, regardless of the track, it has to have Aric Almirola involved somehow. It's part of the rulebook, and there will be a fucking time paradox if he isn't involved in the accident. Jimmy Johnson also had an accident as well, which makes me think that he's having a Michael Schumacher 2005 season this year. But I can only speculate from what I've seen, which has only been about 3 races this season, which is 3 more than I've ever watched full stop, so, you know, that's a gain. And after a few things that I'm too lazy to go into fine detail with, Kyle Busch wins the race for the first time in over a year, and nobody gave a flying toss about it. Some very exciting developments in the IndyCar world, as the 2018 chassis was put to the test this week after being teased on the website, Twitter, Instagram, etc., with Oriol Servia calling the machine a quote-unquote sexy beast in the process, while Juan Pablo Montoya passively aggressively wanted to point out the flaws of the previous chassis and their rear pods after he tested the chassis after Servia. Not long after that completely pointless debacle, the public were treated to a physical version of the 2018 chassis, as provided by Marshall Pruitt and his subpar camera work, where he talked endlessly about the aerodynamics of the car while I was just sitting there pretending that this all makes sense to me.
The kit had a brand new front wing element, brand new rear wing element. Well, if we're looking here, you'll actually notice something that looks familiar, and that's because IndyCar has carried over the Dallara main plane, the majority of the front wing structure.
What the f*** does that even mean? In other exciting developments in the IndyCar world, Sebastian Bourdais is finally back at a race car after his monstrous accident at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Please don't mix this with Pocono, guys, I just want to let you know. Even despite Dale Coyne saying that he'll be out for the rest of the season. If Robert Kubica is F1's equivalent of a comeback story, then Sebastian Bourdais is the next best thing. Next to James Hinchcliffe and Roberto Guerrero and AJ Foyt. God damn it, I made Bourdais look worthless again. A very sad, somber story in the WEC world. The German manufacturer, no, not Audi, the other one. No, not fucking Bikerless, Porsche! The most successful constructor in the last 3 years, are closing its doors in WEC by the end of the 2017 season and focusing its work on making a challenger for Formula E, leaving Toyota the only hybrid LMP1 car on the field for next year. And who can blame them? They scrape $200 million into this thing every year. It's unfathomably expensive. So this is what I put on the plate. Kill LMP1 as a whole. Make Bikerless an LMP2 team, and we can have a whole gaggle of LMP2 cars battling for the championship next year. I don't see how that's not a good idea. Except for maybe destroying whatever integrity WEC had in the first place, which was none. And it'll be cheaper, there'll be a bigger sense of worth instead of having 4 LMP1 cars battling for 6 and 24 hours. I think it's okay. And you know, my opinion is always perfect. And that's about all we have time for in this episode. Again, comment in the comment section if you like it. If you don't, then just say the words, pickle radish. If you don't like the video, type in the comments, pickle radish. Bye.